Hello, I'm Ashlin Gibson, and I'm an undergraduate student at University of South Carolina, and I am a part of the iWERS team where I annotate images for the ATLANTIS dataset. In this video, I want to show you how I use CVAT for image annotation. I have some images from the Atlanta dataset for this reason, so let's go ahead and get started. When I start, I usually go to the Polygon tab, and I hit Shape. After choosing the label of choice, so I'm going to start with the main thing in this image, a dam, and hit shape. I'm going to zoom in to get as much detail as possible and start annotating and just left clicking the points. When I hold down shift, I can do multiple points as I'm doing here. And it makes for a smoother attention to detail, I guess is how I would explain it. And right-clicking backtracks on those points of annotation. So I'll do that here. The dots disappear after I right-click multiple times until I get to the desired point that I want to restart at. And usually I like to go outside of the border of the image just to make sure the label covers the whole border of the image. So like if I stopped towards the edge, I may miss out like a little chunk. And missing out on that little chunk of image can mess up the data set and how it's programmed. Okay, I'm just what I'm doing right now is tracing the outline of the dam. Okay, and then whenever I'm finished with the outline, I hit the N key on your keyboard and it completes that label. And as you can see, if I up the opacity, that area will fill in. So next I'm going to do this bottom area. I'm going to call that a river just because dams are usually built on rivers to hold back reservoirs. And it looks like muddier water. So I actually am going to start by putting a point in the dam, like label area. And I do that for kind of for the same reason that I go outside the border on the, as I showed you on the bottom of the image, just so there are no holes in the final product. And I'm just doing the same thing, holding shift and outlining the river. And like I said, I'm going to stop this label inside the dam label. So I can, when I increase the opacity, the river is sitting on top of the dam. But if I hit the minus key on my keyboard, it will put that label behind in the background of the dam. And that's a special feature used in CVAT. And it makes annotating a lot easier. So next I'm going to do the road here. And again, I'm going to go through that dam so I can put it in the background of that dam. Okay, and hit N to finish, and I'm going to hit that minus key to put it in the background. And so now it looks like this. Okay. Next step, I'm going to do the reservoir. I usually start with the most obvious. The way I think about annotating an image, I start with the most obvious parts of the image. So for this image, for example, I started with the dam just because it was that main focal point, and I kind of work my way around and play it. I was going to say by ear, but I just work my way around and figure out what should go behind other components, I guess, like the label outlines. What would be better to be put in the background? What would be better to be put in the foreground, etc. So I guess you could say for this image, I chose the dam to be at the front of everything since I'm putting all those annotation points behind or on top of the dam label, and I'm putting all of the labels behind it. Okay. And same thing, I just hit the minus key there. Next, I think I'm going to do levy down here. Or actually, I'm going to consider this part a part of the dam just because it's still connected over here. So in order to edit that, I'm going to focus on a point of the dam and hit the shift key and left click again, and it will allow me to edit the dam and add to those annotation points. So I'm just going to do that. Ooh, I've messed up here actually, hang on. So I'm going to go back and do something. I'm going to make the river actually be the thing that gets put in the front. So I'm going to retrace this outline. Yeah, that looks a lot better. Okay. Oh, I need to do the, I'm trying to figure out if this is a spillway. Since it is so small, I'm going to consider this pipe the spillway because there's evidence of water coming out of that pipe. So I'm going to call that part spillway. And since it's a smaller component, I can leave it on top of everything. So there's no need to put it in the background. So putting that to the front. And I bring that to the front by hitting the plus sign rather than the minus sign. And then I'm also going to add rapids where all this white water is. Okay, and okay, there we go. And you see the image is kind of filling in more and more. And I like that's another reason I like starting with a main focal point, just so I can see what I've annotated, what I haven't, and it makes it easier in the long run to do the more obvious things, to find the more subtle labels. So I'm going to do the fence now, where this is, I think, fence. Actually, I'm not sure about this. Yeah, it's a stairway going down. Okay, so I'm going to label this little stairway. I'm going to label it fence. Just because it has those railways, and that's really what you can see of the stairs. Normally, since we don't have an actual label for stairs, we would exclude this entirely. So instead of annotating it, we would just leave it out of the labeling portion of annotating completely. So I'm going to bring that up front. That's good. So talking about exclusions for a second, as I mentioned with the stair situation, what an exclusion will do is, let's take all this vegetation, let's take this vegetation area. If I wanted to decide to exclude this whole area, I would just leave the annotation like this. I wouldn't draw any boxes around it. I wouldn't do anything with it. And whenever you run the segmentation mask for this image, it will appear black and it just won't show up at all. So, and that's done to not confuse the data set. We'd rather exclude it than try to give something a wrong name and throw off the whole data set. So now I'm going to do vegetation. So I'm just going to label anything green that I see as vegetation. Hit M and put that to the background. Okay, and then I'll do this little top corner. And this corner is kind of easy because I don't have to go around a lot of boundaries, since I've made those already with my road and with the dam. And I can just shove that right back to the background. Same thing with here. Back. I think I saw one more little area here. Where are the shadows? Those actually might be shadows. Yeah, I think those are shadows or rocks. Okay, so I'm gonna increase my opacity. So now we're pretty much only, oh, this is why it's helpful to leave out parts that are less obvious. I almost forgot this little piece of vegetation. Okay. All right, now that looks like everything. Yep, that looks like everything. So now what I'm left with are all these dirt pieces. And we just call that label's called terrain. And this is actually the really easy part that I like to say for the end. I just draw a box around the whole image, since this is my only label left, the N, and I can shove that to the back. And in order to check if there's no holes, we use this color by group, and it will change everything to white, and you can zoom in and see if there are any places that you can still see the image peeking through. Okay, that was a glitch. I freaked out. I was like, that's weird. I don't see any places, but that's always good just to double check. And then that's just another way of showing the different colors of labels. And yeah, that's what I do every day. I've done countless data sets with images from numbers ranging anywhere from 15 to, I'd say, 100 total images in a set. And that includes natural and artificial image data sets, or label data sets.